From the wholesome and loving to the dangerously unhinged, we're finally settling the debate. Who is the ultimate cartoon grandpa? And we're not just talking about who's the funniest or who has a flying car. Today, we're ranking these guys based on one thing. How loving and supportive are they to their grandkids? This is gonna get heated, so do me a favor and drop your favorite cartoon grandpa in the comments now before we start. Let's see if your pick makes it to the top. F tier, the toxic waste of grandparenting. Alright, let's just rip the band-aid off and start at the absolute bottom of the barrel, the F tier. These aren't just bad grandpas, they're emotional black holes, actively making their families worse just by showing up. First up, a man whose wallet is as thick as his heart is cold. Carter Pewterschmidt from Family Guy. Carter is elitist disdain in human form. He sees his son-in-law Peter as a permanent stain on his family's reputation, and that disgust trickles down to his grandchildren. His interactions with Meg, Chris, and Stewie are rare, and when they do happen, he's either buying them off or brushing them off. He might have moments where a sliver of a softer side peeks through, but they are so few and far between. He's a man who has everything money can buy and nothing that actually matters. For that, he's permanently stuck in F tier. Next, from the same universe, Peter's stepfather, Francis Griffin. He was a mean, rude, and abusive figure in Peter's life, leaving him with lifelong trauma instead of guidance. This toxic resentment spills over to Peter's family, who he views with nothing but religious judgment. Francis never offered a kind word, a supportive gesture, or a single moment of grandfatherly warmth. His entire character is a monument to harmful family dynamics, and his legacy is one of pain. No debate. Francis is a textbook example of what a grandfather should never be. Rounding out our trifecta of toxicity is the one and only Cotton Hill from King of the Hill. Cotton is a World War II veteran who famously had his shins blowed off, and it feels like his capacity for empathy was a casualty of war too. His parenting of Hank was a masterclass in emotional abuse, and he doesn't soften up much for his grandson Bobby. While he has a twisted soft spot for Bobby, his brand of affection is often disrespectful, harsh, and even dangerous. His gruffness is played for laughs, but living with that kind of personality is no joke. Love shouldn't have to be a battle, and with Cotton it always is. Welcome to the bottom, soldier. F tier. The E tier, the indifferent. Moving up a tiny step from outright toxic, we have the E tier. This spot is for the grandpa who isn't necessarily malicious, he's just there. He's less of a family member and more of an odd, slightly morbid piece of furniture. The sole occupant of this tier is Marvin Marsh from South Park. Stan's grandfather is mostly defined by two things: his extreme old age and his constant desire for Stan to help him end his life. While he occasionally shows a flicker of care, he's a largely self-absorbed and indifferent figure. His relationship with Stan is less about grandfatherly love and more about bizarre, morbid requests. He's not actively harmful like the F-tier crew, but he's so far from being a positive influence that he can't possibly rank any higher. The D tier, the well-intentioned mess. Now we arrive at the D tier. This is for the grandpa who genuinely seems to love his family, but his execution is, well, it's a mess. The heart is in the right place, but the brain is somewhere else entirely. I'm talking, of course, about Abraham Simpson from The Simpsons. Grandpa Simpson is the king of inconsistency. He absolutely adores Bart, Lisa, and Maggie, but that love often gets buried under a mountain of senility, confusion, and rambling stories that go nowhere. He has moments of genuine connection and surprising clarity, like when he teamed up with Bart on a mission or shared a heartfelt moment, but those moments are islands in an ocean of forgetfulness. He tries, he really does, but his support is unreliable at best. He's a walking, talking onion on the belt story, endearing in his own weird way, but not the rock you can depend on. For having a good heart but failing everything else, Abe Simpson is a solid D tier. The C tier, the walking controversy. Welcome to the C tier, home of our most complicated and controversial case. This is for the grandpa who is a chaotic mix of genuine care and extreme toxicity. The one, the only, Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty. Placing Rick this high is probably my hot take of the day, but hear me out. Yes, Rick is a narcissistic alcoholic and emotionally abusive guardian who constantly throws his grandson into life or death situations. He belittles Morty, uses him as a human cloaking device, and has traumatized him in more ways than we can count. But let's be honest here, Rick also spends a ton of time with Morty. He takes him on incredible adventures, and there are undeniable moments where Rick shows fierce protective love for his grandson. He's sacrificed himself for his family and has expressed his affection in his own twisted way. You can't just ignore the rampant endangerment and psychological damage, but the love is certainly there. For that, Rick Sanchez is the complicated, controversial king of C tier. The B tier, solid and dependable. Leaving the chaos of Rick behind, we move into the B tier. These are the solidly good grandpas. They aren't perfect, but they're reliable, caring, and a positive force in their grandchildren's lives. Holding down this tier is Big Bob Belcher from Bob's Burgers. As Bob's father and grandfather to Tina, Jean, and Louise, Big Bob is the classic old-school patriarch. He's a hardworking guy who doesn't do grand gestures or flowery words. Instead, he shows his love through quiet support and a commitment to his family. His relationship with his son Bob can be strained, but his love for his family is never in doubt, and he has a good relationship with his grandkids. He provides a sense of tradition and stability without the toxicity we've seen in the lower tiers. Big Bob is the sturdy, reliable grandpa you can always count on. The A tier, the grandfather we all wished we'd had. Now we're getting to the best of the best. The A tier is for the grandpas who are genuinely great. They're warm, nurturing, and actively make their grandchildren's lives better. And who better to represent this tier than Grandpa Lou Pickles from Rugrats? For a whole generation, Grandpa Lou was the quintessential cartoon grandpa. He was always there to watch over Tommy and the gang, even if he did fall asleep half the time. He was affectionate, playful, and a source of endless rambling stories about the old days. He didn't just babysit. He was a playmate and a loving guardian who provided a sense of security and fun. Sure, he was a bit absent-minded, but his heart was always 100% in it for his grandkids. He represents that warm, nostalgic ideal of a grandfather, a comforting figure who made childhood feel safe. For that, Grandpa Lou Pickles is a lock for A tier. The S tier, the pinnacle of grandfatherhood. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The S tier, the GOAT, the absolute gold standard of grandfathers. This is the one who sets the bar for everyone else. There can only be one, and his name is Grandpa Mort from Bluey. Chili's dad is without a doubt the perfect cartoon grandpa. He's kind, infinitely patient, and deeply, genuinely loving. What puts Mort in a league of his own is how he engages with Bluey and Bingo. He doesn't just tolerate their games, he dives in head first. He'll run from imaginary crocodiles, learn how to use a pretend restaurant app, and fully commits to whatever imaginative world they create. The episode Granddad perfectly captures his spirit, where he's supposed to be resting, but instead takes the kids on an adventure. The final scene, where he tells Chili that her childhood felt like it was just yesterday, is one of the most touching moments in modern television. He's nurturing, supportive, and the embodiment of unconditional love. So that's the list, the definitive ranking of cartoon grandpas. We've seen the toxic worst in F tier with Carter, Francis, and Cotton, and the crowned S tier king, Grandpa Mort. What makes a great grandfather isn't brains or power, it's being present, loving, and supportive. Now I want to hear from you. Who's your S tier cartoon grandpa? Who did I get wrong? Was I too kind to Rick? Drop your takes in the comments. And if you had fun, hit like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite characters. Thanks for watching.